can't get him, get this guy. Myles Garrett, we don't know what's going to happen. He's going to sign an extension. He's going to force his way out of Cleveland. May not be a gettable guy. Is this guy gettable? And if he is equally as difficult to get as Myles Garrett, do you have to just lay out one for the team if you're Terry Fontenot? Trey Hendrickson now has asked for a trade. Everybody's moving this free agent period. Trey Hendrickson, sackmaster up in Cincinnati, he wants out. Their defense was not that good this year, and now he has asked to leave the Cincinnati organization. If this man is available, Terry Fontenot should get on the bat phone, the Falcon phone, the burner phone, whatever he has to see what kind of deal could be constructed.
Again, another guy that's gone 13.5, 14, 8, and 17.5 sacks, and 17.5 again. So you're, holy cow. That guy almost out-sacked us by himself a couple of different years. Now, he costs money. Trey Hendrickson is not cheap.
Like 1 year left. He's under contract for like 16 or 18 million.
It's and he's going to want a big deal.
Oh, no question about it. But before this, right when the season was over, or just before, he was like, I either need a new contract or trade me somewhere else.
Right, and he's looking around going, wait a second, T. Higgins is getting a franchise deal. Jamar Chase is about to get $40 million. Joe Burrow obviously got broke off. I need to get broke off.
Yeah, no doubt.
If you're the Falcons, how high are you willing to go to trade for him? Are you giving up a second-round pick for Trey Hendrickson?
And then I would imagine, do you think these are going to be 2026 round picks we're talking about? I've seen that in a couple of
that's fine.
That have happened.
Well, I'm fine with that. I give two damns.
We don't have any to
exactly.
really
4 or 5 picks this year.
But if my second-round pick equals Trey Hendrickson, yes.
So just burn it on Trey Hendrickson.
He's better than anybody you're going to get in the second round.
All right. The reason we talk about the Falcons because the Falcons and Commanders are among the teams that are looking to acquire the star defensive end. The Chicago Bears are in the mix as well. And people, I think Mina Kimes did this on NFL Live. She connected the dots where the Chicago Bears hired Dennis Allen as their defensive coordinator. And Trey Hendrickson spent his first few years in New Orleans, first 4 years in New Orleans with Dennis Allen in that group. So there's a connection there. Here's Mina Kimes talking about it. And you always try to connect the dots when these things are taking place. Whose coaches are where, what teammates have been around before, and who has money. And here's what she says.
The Chicago Bears have a need at edge, and now a defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, who you talked about him with the Saints, has history with Trey Hendrickson.
Yes.
The Cardinals are a team with a ton of cap space, need at edge. The Commanders, who are probably going to link with just about every good free agent on earth, do also have that need in cap space. And then I would look to the NFC South. Two teams, the Falcons and the Bucks, both have a need at edge. Everybody needs Trey Hendrickson, but those teams come to mind, in my opinion, as ones that might be on the phone.
So in order to do that, if you're the Falcons, you have to create cap space. This is where, while the moving target of the salary cap is out there, you have to have money available.
Last time we got to do that?
We have until next week.
Well, you can do it in an overnight. We just saw the Browns get $36 million.
They need to get to work. Terry needs to get that paperwork going.
They need to figure out who it is.
Terry actually is here.
Who's going and who's getting extended. Here's Adam Schefter saying, well, even though he is available and he has been granted permission to seek a trade, getting Trey Hendrickson might not be the most simple of duties.
You have to find somebody that's willing to compensate the team and the player. And that's not always as simple as it should be, despite the fact that we're talking about the player here who led the NFL in sacks, who's been one of the top pass rushers. You still need to find somebody who's going to be paying him, I would think, in excess of $30 million in the offseason of paying the pass rusher and compensate the Bengals to the point where they're comfortable moving on from a standout pass rusher.
We've been talking about quarterbacks and what the rate should be, who should and shouldn't be. Now Maxx Crosby signs his deal. You're talking about $100 million sack masters that you would have to acquire. If Maxx Crosby's getting a 3-year extension at $100 million, then you know Trey Hendrickson's looking at that number. You know Myles Garrett. So you're talking about $100 million men who are pass rushers. To do that, you have to clear up some space and be at the number about $30 million a year.
Now, he's been very available. He's played 15 or more games in the last 5 seasons, 17, so a full season the last 2 years, or last year. Last 2 years, yeah. And you're 30 years old, going on your 31st birthday.
Right.
Do you have any concern about an age limit there? Where,
of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
now you talk about it.
3 years from now is when I'm concerned. This year, I think I'm okay. It is scary, though, to think about maybe giving up 3 years and $100 million to go get a guy and a draft choice.
Right.
But when you've put yourself in this position and you failed miserably drafting and you have no youth movement that potentially could be the next guy, you have to overspend sometimes in free agency or trades. And you know what? Trey Hendrickson's that kind of guy.
They got to open it up. They got to open up the money, and it's very easy to kick money down the road, especially when you get a big contract like this. That's going to happen because it's all signing bonus related, and you just kind of prorate it down the line. But it's going to be a hefty deal, man. And you don't even have the money as it stands today.
Right. Well, you'll have it.
Yeah,
it's coming.
I was talking to Domino in the hallway yesterday, and we were talking about the personal situation that gets involved. And we saw that with Thomas Dimitroff. He had acquired some really good talent. He had talent when he got to his Super Bowl run. But then at the end, you start doing some things that you have to do for yourself. You have to make sure you don't get fired. So you start making some financial moves that you think will keep things up. And it's somewhat a move of desperation. And I'm not saying that's where Terry Fontenot is, but that's where Terry Fontenot could be. If he has to give up a couple of draft picks in 2026, he might not be worrying about the ramifications of that if he gets a sack master in here the next 2 years, which – I don't think that's giving up too much, worried about who could possibly be good in a couple of years as opposed to a guy who's leading the NFL in sacks right now.
Yeah, I don't care what happens in 2029. I really don't. How about 2025, make the damn playoffs? And I think Terry Fontenot knows that his job is starting to come under a lot of scrutiny. Because you've run through the excuse of COVID. That was a thing. You ran through the excuse of having no salary cap because Dimitroff didn't leave you anything. That was a thing. Those are all done. This is your team. This is literally the baby that you put together. Your drafts, your free agents. Yeah, there were some holdovers from the regime gone by, but not many. You're probably talking about 5 or 6, 10 guys tops that were here with the Dimitroff era. So this is yours to put together. Well, now all of a sudden we're going into, is this year 4 of Terry Fontenot?
It is.
Year 4. Already on no, it's year 5 because you're already on your second head coach.
Their first year.
You're on like your 9th offensive coordinator, your 6th defensive coordinator. It's time to put things together with the right type of players here. Defensively, you're no better today than you were 5 years ago. You're the same mess. Can't rush the passer, can't stop people when it matters. You've got a couple of nice names on there, and that's about it.
We got plenty of time to get back and get it right.
Seems like the Falcons are one of the teams that has to get Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson, no matter what the cost is down the road.
So a couple things happened with the Falcons as well as they declined to tender restricted free agents D. Alford and Nate Landman.
Like Nate Landman.
So that gives them an opportunity as restricted free agents to go out there and test the market a little bit. And then the Falcons have the option to match an offer sheet from another club. And I think the Falcons may get something in return if a team does, in fact, pick up their
they'll get
players.
One of those compensatory pick deals?
That could be off base there, but I think that's it. So D. Alford and Nate Landman, and they still could end up back here in Atlanta if, in fact, you like the deal.
What? Landman I like, D. Alford.
You talk about Landman. He wasn't very good. I mean, he was a good run stopper. He flew around and he was available.
Yeah, better than Troy Anderson, who you drafted in the second round.
He was around the football.
I understand that. Here's what he did when he was around the football. He allowed 25 of the 27 passes he was targeted on for completions. Gave up 3 touchdowns.
He's not here to cover.
He's a linebacker.
That's it. Don't do that. Do not do that.
He's supposed to be pass breakups as a
What's
linebacker?
What's the NFL come to these days?
Yeah, everything is nickel. League? Yeah, it's a passing.
Nickel.
Yeah.
So now we're going to count the pass breakups for linebackers.
You can't give up 25 of 27. That's the reason they let him go and walk to restricted free agency, because he's a liability in coverage. I love the effort and energy he brings to the football field. He flew around and made plays. He was one of the top guys as far as run stops last year, and he's a tackling machine. But you have to be able to do, if you want a really good defense, you got to have slightly better athletes that can also cover guys.
Is that true?
That's 100% true. So Nate Landman is a really good football player. 191 tackles in the 23 starts he had over the last couple of years. He's young, and you can bring him back. If somebody offers him relative to big contracts, peanuts, and you like him, bring him back.
So now you got to find out how to find some money. If you want Trey Hendrickson, how do you get that cap space and who gets cash converted? Grady Jarrett, one of the more interesting contracts with his $21 million. You know, do you bust that up, move some money up front?
Yes.
I would say that might be the better way to do it. And then you make a decision on David Onyemata. His number, he's going to be making $16 million. Do you want to keep both of those guys? Can you let Onyemata go?
Both of them need to either be restructured or let go. That's it.
Yeah.
That's not $37 million worth of production. It's just not. I love Grady. I want Grady here. I want Grady extended for a couple of more years. Those two are not $37 million worth of production.
It's not the vibes that I thought I was getting this morning.
I'd rather let both of them go and spend $30 million on Trey Hendrickson.
All right.
Trey Hendrickson.
Draft new defensive linemen and edge rushers.
Your boy, angry James Pierce.
Well, now they're saying he's acting crazy.
I don't care.
I saw somebody saying that this is the kind of stuff. He was a high school coach, said he coached him in high school, and this is horrible what is happening to him right before he realizes his dream of going to the NFL.
Doesn't that happen every year, though? You get some kind of, and it may be real information, sometimes it's misinformation, about guys that end up losing draft slots because of, their attitude. Ooh. You know what I want my defensive end to be? 4/5 crazy.
Yeah.
I want him to be a guy that, maybe has done a bump or two, on a Tuesday after. I'm kidding.
You're not talking about off the top turnbuckle.
No, I'm talking, take a bump.
6'5", 245. Had a pick six last year for Tennessee where he reached 23 miles per hour. Okay. One of 15 players in all of football to do that.
All right, so run that man into a quarterback. And what happens
23 miles an hour at 250 some odd pounds.
245,
or
Force equals mass times acceleration.
Yeah, that's like Julio Jones' speed coming off the edge. Sign me up.
So a playoff team director in the NFL, a director of player personnel, and to your point, home team, we can say whatever we want. These guys can too. He said, in regards to James Pierce Jr., he is in danger of getting dropped off our board and that there are a lot of character concerns.
All right, if he ends up with the Eagles, I'll never listen to a negative report on a player around the combine again.